This is the download recap from Sounds Profitable, the most important news from this week and why it matters to people in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. The download recap is brought to you by Podscribe. You can find out more at podscribe.com. Now, let's get into this week's news. Spotify tests one-tap skip ahead as industry pushes back. Pod News editor James Cridlin broke the news that Spotify is testing Skip Ahead, a feature that lets premium subscribers skip an entire podcast ad break, sponsorship message, or intro segment with a single tap, reducing a skip from 9 taps just to 1. The feature has yet to be formally announced. While there are similarities to YouTube's Jump Ahead, the way IAB ad delivery is counted means Spotify is not providing hosting platforms with the additional data needed to report attention to advertisers, and its own shows appear not to be excluded from the tool. Premium users never receive streaming-served ads to begin with, and on Spotify's Q3 earnings call, co-CEO Alex Norström noted the company's experimenting with increasing the number of ads-free users here to motivate premium upgrades. As things currently stand, the feature can be used to leverage over-delivering ads as a tool to pester audiences into paying for an ad-free experience, hurting advertisers caught in the middle. A move by Spotify to openly adopt HLS likely could solve major advertiser concerns with this rollout, as well as become a large revenue stream for the company. The scoop drew a wave of reaction from industry leaders, including my cat Pumpkin, who's currently meowing at me. Crooked media leader Tommy Viator did not mince words, opening an X post with, quote, "very cool of Spotify to try and destroy the podcast industry," end quote, as covered in a Mediaite article by Stephanie Killoy. Christina Rubino, GM of Offline and Audio at Right Side Up, walked advertisers through what the feature means for host-read campaigns and the sponsorships most exposed when a listener can skip them instantly. Adopter Media founder and CEO Glenn Rubenstein posted a new blog post arguing that automated editorial decisions about someone else's content should not be made by a party that had no role in creating it, making the case that host-read ads are part of the show itself rather than a segment to engineer around. Video on Apple Podcasts now open to all. Acast has opened video publishing on Apple Podcasts to every creator on its platform, removing the invitation and waitlist requirements that had gated the feature during its beta. Shows that added video over the 4-month beta, so an estimated 25% increase in weekly sessions on Apple Podcasts, and creators can monetize the video through Acast Marketplace of more than 4,000 advertisers. Network creators get access through their partner managers, while everyone else can publish via a new video plan tier that handles upload, distribution, automatic audio extraction, and performance analytics. Here's a quote from Valerie Reimer, Acast SVP of Business Development and Strategic Partnerships. Quote, "Video distribution and podcasting is becoming table stakes. What no one else can offer is the scale of the monetization engine. Video is an option, not a mandate, and a creator who decides against it is making a legitimate editorial judgment." End quote. UK Media Coalition urges government to drop BBC podcast ad plans. A coalition of 18 UK media organizations, including Audio Boom, Bauer Media, Global, Guardian Media Group, News UK, News Quest, Reach, Goalhanger, and Radio Centre, is urging the government to reject proposals that would allow advertising on BBC podcasts and audio content. The group's economic analysis argues the BBC would generate only around £10 million a year from podcast ads, roughly 0.25% of their license fee, while materially harming the independent audio sector that depends on that revenue. The coalition also points to polling showing 2 in 3 UK citizens oppose ads on BBC podcast content, and notes of similar proposal was ruled out in 2025. A quote from Radio Centre CEO Matt Payton, quote, "BBC podcasts should remain ad-free in the UK, however they're produced or distributed. Pressing ahead with this ill-conceived proposal in face of the evidence would only succeed in damaging homegrown audio businesses while raising limited potential funds for the BBC. We urge the government to now rule out this proposal, which would be deeply unpopular with audiences. End quote. For our final top story, IAB's new advice on how to measure AI search visibility. The IAB has released guidance for measuring visibility in AI search results, aimed at helping brands and publishers track how they surface in AI-generated answers. The framework centers on web search analytics rather than podcast-specific measurement. It arrives as the industry works towards consistent standards for counting attention across formats, a question increasingly relevant to audio and video publishers. The framework, titled Measuring Visibility in the AI Era, sorts metrics into 4 categories the IAB calls the 4 Ps: presence, prominence, portrayal, and persuasion. And it separates early directorial signals from data reliable enough to guide budget and strategy decisions. That structure lands on a messy field, as more than 20 vendors already sell AI visibility tools built on different query sets, platform coverage, and scoring methods, to the point that 2 can measure the same brand in the same week and return materially different results. For publishers, the IAB frames standardized ingestion and disclosure metrics as leverage in licensing conversations, a thread that runs straight into the audio industry's own push to standardize measurement as podcast discovery increasingly flows through AI-assisted search. Now it's time for quick hits. These are articles that didn't fit in today's top stories section, but they are worth including in your weekend reading. First up, Apple published its fiscal Q3 2026 results, with services revenue, the segment that houses Apple Podcasts, up 12% year over year to $30.7 billion. A new Ecos report finds the U.S. podcast ad spend total crossed $3 billion in 2026, with programmatic dynamic insertion now roughly 91% of placements, even as host-read ads still command 2 times higher CPMs. Livewire's July episode data shows Spotify for Creators rebounded to a 24% share of all episodes released, while Spreaker climbed to a 2026 record of 13.6%, meaning nearly every other host slipped for the month. And Kirby Grinds argues the smartest streaming play is licensing mature catalog while keeping current releases exclusive, citing Parrot Analytics data that licensed titles have driven more than half of Netflix's series signups since Q1 2025. The same exclusivity versus reach math now coming for podcast catalogs. That was the Download Recap, brought to you by Sounds Profitable and Podscribe. I go through the stories fast, so if you click the link in your show notes, that takes you to the post on our website where you can find every single link to everything I just talked about. You can also subscribe to the newsletter version if you would like it sent to your inbox every week. For the download, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Our producers are myself, Brian Barletta, Tom Webster, and Molly DeMillier. Special thanks, as always, to you for sticking with me as I brought you all the top stories you might have missed from this week in the business of podcasting. Robot.
Download complete.